Tiptoeing his way across a broken drawbridge in the half-full moat, Link crossed over into the field south of Castletown. At first, the rolling hills on the horizon appeared the same as they did 7 years prior, but they were missing the luscious green color they had all those years ago. A part of this dull landscape belonged to a distinct patchwork, also faded. Link suddenly remembered the young orange-haired girl who took such a liking to him. How was Malon affected by Ganondorf's rule? Walking up to the ranch entrance, something was different. The gate was closed and boasted embossments of a certain mustachioed man, familiar to Link. It was not Malon's father, Talon, the owner of the ranch, but the ranch hand, Ingo. The sign above the entrance now read, Ingo Ranch. Giving no regard to it being closed, Link unlatched the tall gate and opened it. Once it had creaked open, he entered, noticing the unchanged appearance of the stucco farmhouse and the log stable. It was then when the stable door opened, and an older teenage girl in a country dress stepped out, lugging a couple of heavy wooden pails at her sides. As she proceeded to dump water from them into a haystack, Link noticed the orange hair. It was frizzy and even a bit sweaty, but it hung in dainty curls below her pointed ears. Much like Link, she now had an adult body, tall and petite in her figure. Malon! She looked up at the stranger before her, but with the immediate realization that he was no stranger. "Fairy boy?" she asked, overwhelmed with shock. She dropped the bucket she was holding and came running towards him, enveloping him in a big embrace. "Is that really you? You still have your fairy? You're even still wearing the same clothes." "It's been a while, hasn't it?" Link said, warmed by her hug. "I've been away on your quest." Malon had never sounded so somber. Link hesitated. It was not supposed to take 7 years. He looked down at his feet, feeling like a failure, and the kingdom was not supposed to fall like it did. "The urgent business you had with the princess when I first met you, it was related to the siege of Castletown, wasn't it?" Malon almost sounded accusatory. Link immediately looked up at her, but she continued. "I sneak you into the castle to see the princess, and a week later she's fleeing the city? What was a kid like you doing mixed up in that back then?" Link had only spent 1 day out of 7 years with Malon, yet to him it was 7 days. So he felt close to her, especially now more than ever, when he needed a familiar face. He wanted to tell her everything, but before he could say anything, a lanky mustachioed man came riding up on a dark brown horse. It was the owner of the mustachioed face embossed on the front gate of the ranch. "Who goes there, Malon?" "Why aren't you tending the cattle?" Ingo spoke with an arrogant flair. Instead of tattered overalls, he was ostentatiously dressed in a red velvet dress shirt with blue silk sleeves and white cotton knickers. Malon timidly answered with cautiously selected words. "This is Link, sir." Ingo looked him up and down with a single eyebrow cocked. "Yes, I remember you now. The young boy I tended to as a guest without any additional compensation. State your business here." Link had come to see Malon, but out of fear of what her zealous boss might do, he gave a different answer. "I've come to purchase a horse." Link could now really use a mode of quick transportation for the quest at hand. Ingo judgmentally looked him over from atop his horse. "Follow me to the corral." Malon was barked at to get back to work, and Link followed behind Ingo on his horse. "There are some people in Kakariko spreading rumors that I cheated Talon out of the ranch," he said. "But don't be ridiculous. That man was weak. I, the hard-working Ingo, poured so much energy into this place." Ingo gestured his hand to the buildings as they passed them. "So I appealed to the great Ganondorf to have him removed so I could take over. In return, I am raising a fine steed for his grace." Link was put off by this, but he held his tongue. "There she is now." Ingo pointed at a certain mare with a luscious white mane. It was Epona, the young filly Link played a song for as a child. Now she was fully grown, like Link was. "Go on and test one." Ingo pointed to the other horses grazing. Surely he wasn't going to give Epona up. So Link walked up to a chocolate-colored gelding with a black mane. "Ah, not much stamina in this one," said Ingo. "But he's got some giddy-up. Would you like to ride him for a minute?" Link nodded his head, still in discomfort that Talon got run out of his own ranch by the tyrant who was to take sweet Epona as his steed. Ingo called for Malon to bring a saddle, reins, and stirrups, and once the horse was equipped for riding, Link rode around in the corral, amateurly directing the horse in a trot. He circled the other horses until he stopped at Epona. Malon was there brushing her, watching Link's first attempt at horseback riding. "Your form isn't bad, fairy boy," she said with a smile. "Malon," Link started, "I'm sorry to hear about what happened with your dad." Malon paused between brushes. "Somebody's gotta take care of the horses. It will never be how it used to be. Like how we stood here all those years ago, looking at Epona, as we are now." Malon nodded. "As I grew older, I realized that someday I would need to give her up, but I never imagined it would be to Ganondorf." "Well, what's your offer, young man?" Ingo called from the grazing area as he came riding over. The last time Link was there, he was prepared to spend a small sum, which he still had. "How about 50 rupees? Ingo burst out into boisterous laughter. "Ingo Ranch prides itself on raising the finest horses." Link didn't have the rupees to meet his hiked price. His face must have shown it, because Ingo retorted, "What's the matter, boy? Big boy trousers too big for you?" Link looked him on as he entered a fit of laughter. Once he settled down, he said to Link, "I'll tell you what, let's make a wager. Give me the 50 rupees, and I'll let you race me for it." Link was never one to make bets. Mido would make bets with some of the other Kokiri, sometimes at Link's own expense, but he never participated. This was the last of the rupees Impa gave him, which were supposed to stay in the past. But there Link was in need of a horse, and at that point, he knew what he was going to do. "You're on, Ingo. One lap around the corral?" Malon stopped brushing once more with suspense. Link looked over to her with a sly glance. Ingo had said the horse could sprint, but not pace. He was going to try and outrun him in that one lap. "Malon, draw us a starting mark," Ingo said with a cocked eyebrow smirk. The starting mark was a line of chalk sprinkled in the mud outside the corral fence. Link and Ingo sat on their horses behind it, with Malon waiting to give a starting signal. She rose her arm. "On my command." Link grasped the reins. "Get set?" Link tensed his knees in anticipation of Malon's signal. "Go!" They were off, neck and neck along the first turn. But on the straightaway in the back, Link clenched his knees and whipped the reins again and again. This exhausted the horse's stamina, but it gained good ground. It became close again on the final turn, with Link's gelding tiring from the sprint, but he crossed the white line clearly ahead of Ingo. Malon giddily announced Link victorious. "Gah!" Ingo screeched. "If the great Ganondorf found out about this humiliation... Hey you, how about another race? Double or nothing, 2 laps. You don't get the horse if I win, plus I keep your money. But if you win, you keep the horse and your money. Deal?" Link dismounted the chocolate gelding. He had this one shot to take. "If I can get Epona over here, then I race with her, with those stakes. Then you got a deal." Ingo hesitated, but he couldn't resist. "Fine, but you stay there and not a step more. I want to see you get her attention from all the way over here." Link reached in his knapsack for the ancient ocarina that Zelda passed on to him. Having just played it a week ago in his perspective, Link whistled the melody Malon taught him, Epona's song. A majestic whinny could be heard from across the corral. Epona came galloping through, straight to Link. She rubbed her snout on him as she did when they were younger. Malon smiled with a tear running down her face, while Ingo was beside himself. "That wretched song? She taught it to you, didn't she?" Link climbed up on the gilded saddle she had on. She was perfect. A connection with her was present. Link could feel it. "No matter. You still need to beat me to win her. This time there'll be 2 laps." Link was now nervous. Before Malon could wave her arm and shout go, Ingo took off, but Link was determined and focused. Epona rode with the utmost smoothness and ease, plus she had good speed, agility, and endurance. She really was a champion steed. Link won again, but not without drama towards the end. Link had to push Epona to her maximum in order to come out ahead in the final turn. But he did it. He successfully bet Ingo out of his precious prized possession he was grooming for Ganondorf. Gah! Ingo angrily dismounted, and then nearly rented his fine clothes in a fit. "I bet the great Ganondorf steed away! How could I?" Melon was ecstatic. She showed emotion that she clearly hadn't shown for a while. She must have been relieved to see Epona leave the ranch in hands she could trust. Link was acquainting himself with his new companion, trotting about the corral, when he heard a creaking noise. Ingo was closing the gate to the corral. "What are you doing, Ingo?" Malon asserted. "He won her fair and square." "Oh, I will keep my word," he said calmly. "As promised, I will give the horse to you, however. I will never let you leave this ranch." "Link!" Link rode over to Malon, who was gripping the bars of the fence from the outside like she was the prisoner. "Link, you gotta take her from here." She was almost sobbing. "You gotta take her far from here. Hop the fence. She can do that. I know she can. You can do it, Epona." She was bawling at this point. "What about you, Malon? Come with me." "Don't worry about me. I need to protect the other horses," she sobbed, "or else Ingo will mistreat them." Link looked down at the wonderful young lady who was torn down to shambles. Link wanted to do more, to restore the ranch back to its former state, but all Link could do was finish off the plan to tear Epona away. He turned the horse around and pushed her, harder than he did on the racetrack. Thigh muscles flexing, Epona pushed off the ground as she neared the fence on the other side. She must have cleared 10 feet on that astounding leap, over a cast iron fence with spires atop each bar. With his steed, Epona, and Navi still burrowed under his cap, Link fled Ingo Ranch, in the direction of Kokiri Forest.